Hello everybody, it's your friendly digital technology librarian Christy here. We've reached another Friday, so of course I have another Film Rec Friday ready for everybody out there. So we are in the thick of Noirvember, which as you might already guess is a month dedicated to the celebration of noir film. If you aren't already familiar, film noir actually literally translates to dark or black film from the French, and it generally refers to a genre of films that were really developed in the 1940s and 50s that explored really darker or much more cynical and often mysterious themes. So, murder, crime, femme fatales, they were all pretty standard elements of the classic film noir. We will absolutely be putting together a list of the absolute best film noir movies in our opinion, but today we are actually going to focus on neo-noir films. Neo-noir films definitely have their roots within the themes that were covered in classic film noir, but a lot of times neo-noir will also have some really updated themes, some different sort of character development tropes and things like that. So just a newer take on a really classic genre. So like every other week, all of these films that we recommended today are available entirely for free with the use of your Milan-Berlin library card. So with that, we are going to go ahead and jump right in to the recs. Okay, so my first recommendation for today is available on both Canopy and Hoopla, and that is 2000's Memento. Now, Memento is from the director Christopher Nolan. Nolan is, of course, really famous for films like Inception, the Batman series. He's one of those filmmakers who is always looking for ways to really challenge audiences with creative storytelling. The way he puts stories to film and changes that sort of viewing experience as every story goes by. It's really, really interesting. You never know exactly what you're going to get other than a Christopher Nolan film. And Memento just does something incredibly special with the storytelling. So in this film, we are following a man named Leonard who is trying to track down the man who raped and murdered his wife. One of the biggest problems with this, though, is the fact that he has anti-retrograde amnesia, which means he cannot create new memories. He lives every day as a blank slate, and he has to put the clues together for himself every single day. It's not like, when we're solving like just daily mysteries, or when we see famous characters like Sherlock Holmes, you retain the information as you're uncovering clues, as you're piecing together these storylines. You have an accumulation of information, but that's not something he has the luxury of. So he has this sort of crazy intricate process where he takes Polaroid pictures, he makes tattoos, he does anything he can to sort of, I guess, essentially remind his clean slate daily self where he is in the mystery solving process. This, of course, has a lot of pitfalls to it. I mean, there's no simple way to do this. And Nolan adds this other layer of confusion to the viewing experience, which I think is really important because, we're trying to get just how cacophonous life is for this character. Nolan tells the story essentially in two parts and in two time sequences. So we get one film that is a series of black and white scenes, and that one goes pretty much in sort of chronological order, but there's also a series of color scenes that are shown in the reverse order, and they're juxtaposed together. It's not like we're seeing things all in reverse or all in chronological order. It's all chopped and cut and just this mad mass of story, and it's supposed to be crazy and wild and confusing because this is the life that he lives and we are supposed to be a part of that. And I think that's incredibly effective. That method is just amazing, and you are unraveling the mystery in the same way that he is. We know where we're getting to, kind of, but even that is wrought with confusion. And Guy Pearce plays Leonard, and I just think he does such an exceptional job. So I guess Brad Pitt was supposed to be cast as Leonard originally, but there were like film scheduling issues, and so he had to drop it. And then Pierce was just sort of like the guy they got to fit in. And I cannot imagine this movie with anybody else, because he just does such an incredible job of embodying all of these emotions, like the rage, the confusion, the frustration. It's just so well portrayed, and it's never over the top, but it's so deeply ingrained in this character he builds. There are several other character actors who are part of this film that are also absolutely exceptional, and you'll 100% know their faces even if you don't know their names, but they play off of him so well. And that's both part of like just being really phenomenal actors, but also having an exceptional director. And all of those things go together in such a way that Memento just is one of those films that it brings something very fresh to this genre that's of course been around. Like, of course, classic noir has been around since the 1940s, and even neo-noir films have been around for a very, very long time. We've been calling things neo-noir for decades now, and this just adds something very fresh to it. And it's not that like neo-noir is a tired genre. It's not. It's always really interesting. They're always finding new ways to tell stories, but this is just such a different take on things. And it's such a good way to grab audiences and put them into a story. So you are hunting down this murderer as well. Like, you are trying to figure out what's going on, figure out who is really guilty and who is really the victim. And it's just really, really fascinating. So if you get the chance, if you like movies that really make you work for solutions and answers, definitely check out Nolan's Memento. It is an incredible, incredible film, and again, available on both Canopy and on Hoopla. Okay, my other recommendation for today is available to stream via our Hoopla service, and that is 2009's Mother. Mother comes from filmmaker Bong Joon-ho, who is probably most well known here in the US as the creative genius behind Parasite, which of course won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Screenplay at the Academy Awards a couple of years ago. But while that is his most well-known work here in the States, he's been making films for years and years prior to. And probably one of his most lauded movies from that period of time would have been Mother. Mother is one of those movies that will absolutely stick with you. We are following a widow who lives alone with her developmentally disabled son. She's been his caregiver for his entire life. They live in this very small provincial South Korean town, and they don't have a lot of money. She pretty much makes her living by sort of making these medicinal tinctures, and the two of them are quite close, like they're all they have. But things become incredibly horrible as the movie goes on. We discover that a young girl in this village has been murdered. And unfortunately, all of the very circumstantial evidence points to this woman's son. This village already has quite a few prejudices against him for being so outside the norm. And there are a lot of things that go wrong in the investigation. And she ends up having to essentially conduct the investigation herself. She has to save her son on her own. And the movie is all about how far she will go to protect him, to figure out who murdered this girl and why it's all falling on him. And Kim Hye-ja is the woman who plays Mother, and she just does such an incredible job. The desperation, you can feel it. Like it's like a palpable thing, and it just gets more and more driving. By the end of the film, she's just this urge to protect her son. That's all that's there. You know, we don't know, like, that we don't know much of her backstory. We just get the immediate, the in the now moments, and that's enough, you know. And it's incredible how well she is able to stay in that headspace, and how she's able to push that even further the more the story goes on. And of course, her son is played by Won Bin, incredibly famous actor in South Korea, and he does a very solid job with a character that's incredibly difficult to play, because of course it could definitely go over the top very easily, but he doesn't. It's a very organic performance, and it's a really hard movie to watch, all of these things that are happening, and you were so connected to Kim Hye-ja's character, to Mother, that it makes every time she comes up against something, another wall, it makes all of her frustrations sort of transfer to you, and it is like dark and twisty, and you're trying to unravel this incredibly tangled storyline because of all of this incompetence that's going on with the system, and you just don't know where things are going to lead. And that's one of the reasons why I think this movie is so incredibly solid and so well done, and it's no surprise it's so lauded in South Korea. So if you are looking for this twisty, dark sort of mystery thriller, absolutely need to check out Mother. Again, it is available on Hoopla, and it's a total must watch. Okay, so those were my recommendations for today. If you have any other neo-noir films that you would like to recommend and share with other film fans, please comment with those below. If you have any recommendations for themes you'd like to see us cover in the future, definitely comment with those. As always, thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully I will see you next week. Bye-bye.